Hello, Warriors. So NVDA does not have chlamydia. Hello, Michael. How are you? David? No one said the world was going to end. I'm here. Target's like 780, something like that, 800 maybe. Ingmar, how are you? How you, Bran? Ryan? Day after. Yeah, AJ. Happy NVIDIA Day. Good day, everyone. I think I'd use this strength to sell equities that are not making new highs. K-Man, James, Louise, welcome to F.A.C.E. Kay, Lucas, everybody. But our bailiwick is currencies, right? So 103.80 taken out by plenty, but the close is important, right? So we'll see if we close under 103.80. We're right there. Why don't I start off? Let's see, is Ryan around? He's one of the only guys I know that's been long Euro from 107.
Yeah,
Are you here?
I'm around. I'm very round.
Are you okay? You're round and nice spike in Euro and not as impressed in Aussie, but I've been told that this is 5 waves that we're completing. So wave 1 up may be done. Not really impressed with gold, not making much hay out of it. Silver either. And yen trying to come out of this triangle here. And so anyway, S&Ps, I think we're right at the highs here. Made new highs. Diverge, NASDAQ has not made new highs. So what do you think of the board coming in today, Ryan?
Yeah, those stocks or the S&Ps tickled that high. It just broke it by a few ticks, but now it's back under the previous high. So we were waiting for you lot to turn up and decide what you want to do with it. But I think, yeah, it's not that positive a move. It's positive that it broke the high, so there's appetite there, but not holding the high. That might prove to be a big significant. If it doesn't go up above there during the US session, then, as I said yesterday, I think we've got a top in play.
I just went outside. I think I saw a full moon. No, really.
Is it still up?
I'm not kidding. Yeah, it's very beautiful. I'm a lunatic. Lunar tick.
As long as you're not a werewolf.
So what do we do with the dollar here, Ryan?
Oh, good question. We've had a shift up. A lot of it's been yen driven. A lot of yen crosses pushing high have dragged up the majors once more. Fresh highs, Aussie dollar, euro dollar, like you said, but it's all just wilting at the moment. You like to come in and buy dollars in the morning for breakfast. That looks to be the case. Yields are ticking up, 10s, which have largely been ignored while everyone fussed about NVIDIA. That's pushing up into the 430s in 10s. So, yeah, dollars just maybe creeping up on the back of yields.
Look at that.
Yep.
That's interesting. So, they got a lot of the shorts out on that. I guess the close is important here.
Yeah, very much so.
Right?
Very much
so.
It
could have been
30.
Could have been a stop hunt here, get people out and turn up one more time. I can't just launch a sale until I see a close. I think it's almost kind of constructive that we took it out and they brought it back this much. Almost like a shakeout move.
I think if we hold 108.30-ish, 2030 in euro dollar today, that will give it a bit of a base to keep moving higher. But I'm not expecting rockets anywhere. This is probably just a move to the other side of the range. Now we tried the downside to 107. Now we might go and have a look at 109, maybe 110, and see what he wants to do. But I'm not looking for anything that's going to be breaky at the moment.
And it really didn't have much impact on the euro pound here yet, but you know, when I look at the daily, it doesn't look that great either. You know, got a bounce.
85.70. 85.70 is a number. Get and hold above that, we probably see 86. But if we can't, it does keep the downside in play.
Okay. And you know what else is interesting with the weak dollar, how MEX held up. Okay. They didn't sell off US dollar MEX, right? It held the low from a few days ago when we were way above 103.80 and couldn't take it out. I think that's a tell for MEX anyway. That you could buy it with stops under 17. I think this candle's important that although the dollar got crushed and like took out these lows by a lot, US dollar MEX has not. Any comments on that from K-Man on USD
Hey
MEX?
Dale, hello everybody. Yeah,
How
very
are
similar
you?
to what you were
You're going to
saying,
be
right?
K-Man is going to be a media personality. It's something new he's going to put on his resume. So thank you for granting this time with us this morning.
Oh, come on. Well, you coach
Thank you. Thank you.
anytime, yeah?
Yeah, thanks, buddy. So what do you think, US dollar MEX, in light of a weak dollar holding up?
Yeah, it's very stubborn. It's all moving through the crosses as well. Euro mix, for instance, is higher.
Yeah.
Thanks to those PMIs for one, but it is indeed holding very well that 17 line. It's yeah. I mean, it's just that. I mean, you can trade it in front of it and then get out of the way if 1695 breaks, for instance. That is a very decent risk reward somewhere. Yeah, that's one to note. Also noting that on the you're on the Aussie there, yeah.
Yeah, I got short
Struggling, yeah?
yesterday right around here, 65.59, and my stop survived this. It was over
Yeah.
66. It doesn't look great to me. I mean,
No, actually not.
even if it's good, couldn't we pull back to correct this bounce back towards 65?
Yeah, of course it can. But it's very good that prior zone there from end of January into early Feb, that those stops are holding now. This is really the zone, right? 66 up to 66.20 or so. If you're if you're leaning against those, it does look like struggling, really struggling. We said the 66 would be a bit of a level that we needed to watch, so that is exactly what we have to do. Also, its cousin, the Kiwi, peaked above 62 quite easily this morning, and now it's struggling a bit around there too.
Yeah. So it's kind of a decision day, right?
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's going to be very interesting because we had the European PMIs. We are going to have the US PMIs today. And then we have the day that the US markets reopen post those NVDA results. And that's going to be the test for the correlations, the algo or whatever correlations, dollar versus equities. And I think it's going to be a very interesting US session to monitor just for that. If US equities, let's say, continue to rally and the dollar does not follow suit, the correlation will be even more broken, I think. And then we really need to trade something different in FX than those kind of correlations.
Okay. I was just looking at the gold-silver ratio, which has been giving signals every other day. So, you know, we had this breakdown, then we negated the breakdown. Now we're pulling back to the breakdown. So, tough chart to read, isn't it? To me, it almost looks like it has an upside bias, the fact that it got back above these levels. But what a pivot. I mean, they've played this pivot for months now. Look how long. Put just a weekly up.
Yeah, but it's hard to learn anything from it, right?
Yeah. It really is. Anyway, it's not having a bad week, and the week's almost over. So, I'd have to say that even though gold is much weaker than silver today, this doesn't look bad. And gold looks almost like the best short from that's had a decent week with
Yeah,
dollar weakness.
it's struggling like the rest actually of dollar pairs, but it's
Yeah,
not going anywhere. That's the thing.
yeah.
We really need. Perhaps today, as I said, this is going to be a test day for correlations in between markets, because also the US yields are back up, but then the rest of the yields are up too. It's still one big pot. The bond market, the European yields have been going up as well. Just having a quick look at the UK. Yeah, the UK is pushing back up a little bit too. So it's still one big market, and that's where days like today are going to be a reasonable test to see whether there's any correlation between markets left to trade for us FX.
Yeah, so it's really the first 4-hour divergence in NVIDIA. I'm not saying, go out and short it, but I'd be careful. And if this fails today,
Why
if this
not?
gives it up,
Dale, pre-market, it tacked on
yeah,
in market cap the GDP, annual GDP of New Zealand, Greece, Portugal, Peru,
so
Kuwait.
people would rather live in NVIDIA than any of those countries, right?
I said
Like,
Greece. I said Greece.
I mean,
and Portugal. And New Zealand. Come on, man. But seriously, like that's crazy. I was just
yeah,
looking at the numbers. I'm like, okay, we put up about 220 to 250 billion, depending on where it's going to gap up, and 200.
there it is.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
live.
No. I was just saying it right now. It's about Greece's GDP in annual GDP. It just gained in market cap, but it has been as high as New Zealand or Portugal's GDP, which is just silly. It's silly. Holy cow.
Anyway,
why not?
Definitely, blew out top pickers. But let's see what it's doing on the daily, because it had divergences, but way over 80. Okay, so the daily's not showing it. Whoops. Yeah, we'll see. I can't tell. It's not showing the last night's action on the daily here, but the 4-hour definitely diverged. Go shorter term, 2-hour, even the 2-hour is diverging here.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is you could tell sentiment got a little overreactive yesterday midday. Stocks started to reverse, because people were like, well, is NVIDIA's earnings going to really come out bad? And everybody's like, no. So you saw everything reverse, towards the end of the day, which made sense. I mean, it made sense. It's just, I mean, after the earnings and you look across the board and you look at every metric and you go, wow, it's pretty impressive. I mean, very, very impressive what this company is doing and has done. And as you pointed out, Dale, it's all gonna be about the price action. Like I had some traders texting me last night, like trying to short it, like post market. I'm like, dude, don't do that. And these are friends of mine. So, and I'm like, don't be stupid. If you're going to see the reversal, it's going to be when the market opens tomorrow, not pre-market. You guys understand that. Everybody in Europe and Asia and all around the world has to play catch up tonight. So if you're out there shorting it last night, I was like, don't be an idiot. And again, this is me talking to my friends, not talking to you guys. And I was texting with a bunch of people last night. Like, oh my God, I just got run over. Oh my God, SMCI just gapped up 70, 80 points. I'm like, what do you think is going to happen? But today,
I think about pride before the fall.
The
And
what?
because I pride before the fall, and because, you know, when we get prideful about our trading, we're, you know, setting ourselves up for an accident.
Yeah.
But I'd say the proudest and happiest people right now are the people that rode that decline down and knew and believed that earnings were going to be okay. And now Nvidia's at new highs and they feel like, you know, geniuses. So I think they're vulnerable today, because, you know, it reminds me of Bush and landing on the carrier, mission accomplished. So maybe the mission is accomplished to shake out every last bear and it fails here. It's
Well, I mean,
possible.
that's the thing is the market is at highs. The sentiment is extremely bullish right now. And I had this conversation last night with Chris Weston, and I said, where's the market offsides? The market traders will be offsides if the market goes higher. The market is offsides the majority of it if we actually break down lower. So what we have to watch for is the price action today. So I'm gonna take over
Go
here,
ahead.
Dale, because I want to
Go
talk
ahead,
about a
man.
few things that has happened overnight that I think is really
Sure.
important when you're talking about price action. Let's start off with, and I'm gonna come back to K-Man and Ryan here in a moment. And by the way, if you guys didn't see this post from that we did last night, this is an interview that I did one-on-one with K-Man. K, that was fun, right?
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, absolutely fun. Very
Yeah,
fun.
so I'm going to put that in the chat box. If you guys haven't watched that yet, you know, this is where K-Man really dives into the yen and the Swiss. So make sure that you guys check that out on Trader Summit. I did post the link in the chat box so you guys can get it. And that's beneficial for those of you that are logged in via Zoom, because you can actually chat with us and you can get these posts that we post in there. But I want to show you something that happened with the euro. So euro, we were talking about a very tight trading range yesterday. We were right in the middle of it, you know, trading at 108.20. And I'm like, look, a break below 107.90 or a break above 108.40 is going to produce a quick 40 pip move, you know, maybe 50. And last night was 50. We came out of that range, broke higher, did a quick range extension overnight. PMIs came out. We saw a reversal, and now you're starting to see the euro, you know, get towards vulnerable areas, right? You're seeing the dollar reverse course starting to strengthen. The dollar CAD has completely reversed all of the overnight losses. Dollar Mexican peso trading at its highs of the last few days.
Yeah.
Dollar Norway completely reversing after hitting the support zone. Aussie dollar, after moving higher towards the 38% retracement, couldn't even quite reach the 38% retracement. What a really weak currency the Aussie is. And it's already reversed everything. These things that we're seeing in the currency market really should have you that trade equities, especially those of you that are in the markets right now, you should really be very careful this morning. Seeing the dollar reverse, and yes, you could go, well, Blake, you know, the Eurozone PMIs were weak. UK PMIs, they, you know, kind of disappointed as well. But it's not just those currencies. It's what you're seeing across the board. And K-Man, you pointed it out. Look at the Rand. We talked about this yesterday. Remember, we're like, oh, budget came out. Yeah, you should be buying that. And it has reversed quite aggressively. So this reversal that you're seeing in the currency market really is something to be like, it's a cautionary tale for anybody trading equities at 50-50 on the S&P this morning. You're seeing Bitcoin roll over. Gold is rolling over. Crude oil looks weak. These are signs that you have to be extra careful trying to chase stocks higher this morning. Now, I'm not saying that you should run out and just start shorting stocks either, but I am saying that the rest of the market, minus the stock market, the rest of the market is really throwing up some red flags right now. So, Ryan,
Even within the market, Blake, even though the averages are well, S&P is pressing the highs. There's a lot of stocks that aren't doing what NVIDIA is doing.
Exactly.
Look at
So, you know,
Apple. Look at
yeah,
Apple.
that was one of my setups last night. I specifically focused on Apple and I said, don't disrupt the Apple cart. Why?
Okay, I like
Because
that one.
Apple is at the 618. If Apple breaks that 618 around the 178 level, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
done.
got the second largest market cap in the entire stock in the market cap stock in the entire market. If we start breaking down below that 178 level, asset managers are going to go, you know what? Let's reallocate a little bit. I'm going to sell some of my Apple and I'm going to keep my NVIDIA holdings. I'm just going to be a little bit lighter on my Apple because I got so much Apple that I've acquired over the last, 10 or 15 years, whatever. You're going to start to see some reversal of flows if that happens. So yeah, you're right, Dale. You're very succinct. This is what I was, again, I focused on this on the trade-off last night. It was one of my topics. Don't upset the Apple chart or cart.
Yeah. I said
Big
yesterday that if NVIDIA had a good report and the market rallied, I'd use that strength to add to my shorts in Apple.
and you might get it this morning. You might be able to see a trade up to 185 today,
Yeah,
and maybe
right.
that 200 or that's not a 200 DMA. That's a 4-hour
50.
chart. So yeah, there's a 200 DMA. We might get up to maybe 184. But yeah, I mean, and if so, maybe that gives you that jumping off point. I like it, Dale, and I 100% get exactly what you're saying, and I hope
Do you
everybody
come
does at
up with
home.
a 160 target on that?
What's that?
On Apple, do you on a breakdown, do you get like a 160 target?
No. Well, first of all, this is a long-term double top.
Okay.
So I'd be what I'd be looking for is where the neckline is at basically 165, and if that breaks, that's what everybody's got to be deathly aware of if you own this thing, because this is the target for a real downside break, and I think 178 gets people's attention, and you'll see some drifting lower, and depending on what the rest of the market's doing, but really, a break below 165, that opens up 130, which is not, I mean, look, this is the beginning where we're at last year. I mean, it's not like uncharted territory. It's not like, oh my God, Apple's gonna die a great death. No, I mean, it's just gonna revisit levels that we saw, last year. It's not anything crazy. So, but that's what I'd be really looking at as far as Apple goes. I'm sorry, we got I'm gonna continue on because I want to talk PMIs real quick. UK PMIs, Eurozone PMIs. Ryan, how did you read them this morning?
Further improvement from most of the PMIs. UK held up, little change. It was unchanged in services, up a pip in manufacturing, but still negative in contraction. Germany, that crapped the bed in manufacturing, but services went up. And then, yeah, there was further improvement from the rest of them. They're still in negatives, all in contraction numbers, bar the UK services. So yeah, still more work to do, shall we say?
And more work to do. You talked about German data too. We have German IFO tomorrow morning, which obviously as these PMIs in Germany continue to look, I think is going to be very closely watched tomorrow. I think, but yeah, I mean the PMIs, they weren't necessarily horrible, I would say, but that really top ticked the euro when those came out. Same thing with sterling, and look at cable reversing. K-Man, do you have a different read, or do you feel pretty much the same?
No, pretty much the same. Still a big divergence between manufacturing and services. France was a positive surprise, and Germany pretty much undone it. I actually had a more positive read on the UK myself. So because yesterday and the day before, I tried to buy a bit of euro sterling, but I've let it go this morning on those PMIs. But we are 5 points away, and it's not like sterling is massively going down versus euro, but. Yeah, as I said, the dollar is clawing back relatively easy.
That was a shakeout move. I'm becoming more and more convinced with this action. Whatever it was that was a catalyst, shook out a lot of dollar bulls, and the follow through looks pretty anemic to me.
Yeah,
If you actually look at the neckline and continue it on, it actually takes us to where we were at earlier today. So the
Okay.
neckline goes all the way down to about 103.50. So
Wow.
yeah, that
Okay.
reversal
I didn't
today
see
that
that.
you're talking about, that's
Yeah.
it. I mean, this horizontal level was where it probably stopped out a lot of people, like all
Yeah,
the Euro
exactly.
shorts. And so yeah, I think you're right, Dale.
All right. So well, no, that's what I mean. It's like a decision day.
Yeah,
How we finish. It's
yeah,
not how
yeah.
it's not how you start the race. It's how you finish.
Today is all
always.
going to be about price action where you're at. And I look at I got up this morning, I looked around, and I looked at my P&Ls. I'm like, okay, my P&Ls haven't changed a whole lot, on my account. And I'm like, shoot, I'm more aggressively short the Aussie dollar right now, and I'm basically flat, like in my position right now. Averted my stops, fine. Dollar Mex didn't even dip. And now we
Yeah,
did
that's
have
a
Mexican
canary in
data
the
that
coal
came
mine
out this
to
morning.
me.
What's that?
U.S. dollar max is a canary in the coal mine to me.
Well, yeah, I mean it's holding up really well. It's still just I keep a little marker position. I'm not aggressive yet, but that thing's barely even moving. Dollar Norway has shown a real big reversal today. So there's a lot of things that I look at that it just seemed like to me, and I agree with you, it was a little bit of a shake the tree type of move, and it probably did shake the tree because the market's really efficient at grabbing you by your ankles, pulling you upside down, shaking really hard, watching all the chains drop out, and then dropping you right on your head. That's what the market is very efficient at doing, and I think it's done that to a lot of people today.
The market
So
can be very mean.
it is, yeah, ruthless, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you ever think that you know exactly what's going on, the market will school you. Guaranteed. That's why I'm not a big believer of system trading and AI trading, because shit doesn't work. Soon as you think you got it, that's when the market's going to show you otherwise. Anyway, let's talk about, because we only have a few minutes, we have unemployment claims coming out, and we do have Canadian retail sales coming as well. Ryan, what's hot on your radar today? What are you looking at that's really got your engine humming? That's weird.
It's going to be this S&P. This
The
S&P up
S&P.
at these highs.
Okay.
That's what he
I
said
think it's
yesterday.
a maker or breaker.
Make
after this
or break.
stuff.
Okay. And just
Yep.
keep in mind, we're channel resistance. We're getting back up there. 127% extension comes around 50.71. On these futures, the E-mini futures is actually going to be a little bit different where they're priced at, but very
Look at
good.
that
So
divergence.
S&P make or break day. K-Man, how about you?
Yeah, as I was saying earlier, the correlation between the dollar and the equity markets is on my radar today. I'm finding the dollar, euro dollar high 108s, low 109s is going to be a really decent resistance zone to me. Yeah, that's basically it.
Cable looks
All
like the
right.
preferred short because of EG, if you want to play the long side of the dollar.
Play the long side of the dollar. You want to do what?
You want to be short cable rather than euro because EG, lately cable's underperforming.
I thought this was I was thinking, and I had this conversation yesterday with the ForexAnalytix folks. I'm like, I've been looking at this maybe as a cup and handle, but I think I'm wrong. And I told everybody this. I think you just stretch this one out. This is a more of a rounded top, which is it actually produces a bigger move if the cable does break. I just think we're kind of doing this. You can see it's a big distribution in sterling. Every rally is being sold. Look at those long wicks that are left behind. That
Look
means
how
that
it took out last week's high, where
yeah,
everyone's stop was above last week's high. They're
yeah.
gone.
So
And
I mean,
yeah,
I don't have. Well, I take that back. I do have some long sterling, but I'm not the pound dollar or the the cable. but I think it is a risk. And I do think this is, forming some sort of rounded top. So that's something to be mindful of. What I want everybody else to be watching. Oh, shoot. I just missed the data. Data's out. What did we get? Let me get over to the calendar.
Better sales in Canada,
Okay,
marginally.
Pull up data flash. Sorry, guys. I was busy running my mouth. Initial jobless claims. Look at how good I mean, tell me the US jobs market is in the toilet right now. Yes, the quality of jobs may suck, but tell me that the jobs market's in the toilet right now. We have unemployment claims back down at 200,000. I mean, that's a anemic number for jobless claims. Very, very few people filing for jobless claims. Continuing claims, and you could say retail sales a little mixed, right? Let's see what the Canadian's doing. Dollar CAD, hell of a reversal.
Another wick.
And extending. So yeah, guys, what I was going to say is watch dollar max, because we just broke those levels, the 1710.
Yeah.
Next level is the 200 DMA. You watch that 200 DMA. We break that. We're at the 50 DMA right now, which has capped us all week. We get to 1728. That's when the rubber meets the road. So just watch it. If I was short dollar CAD or a dollar max, I'd be pooping my pants right now, or at least
Arriba.
Arriba. All right. Hey, I want to thank everybody for being here today with us and being live with us. We're here every day. We'll see you tomorrow morning for at the same time to wrap up the week, as we always are. Thank you, K-Man. Thank you, Ryan, coming off the Flow Show, getting us up to speed what was happening in Europe. Always appreciate you, Dale. Appreciate you guiding us, but make sure you guys and gals stick around, because Dale is bringing in
Neil,
Mr.
Bitcoin.
Oh, well, this will be
yes, I'm renaming Neil today.
All right. Well, you guys stick around for Mr. Bitcoin and Dale, and thank you all for joining us today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Neil, I'm trying to upgrade you to become a panelist, and you're declining. So now you're accepting. There you are. Welcome back to F.A.C.E, Mr. Bitcoin.
Hi, Dale. How are you?
Good, buddy. How you doing?
Never
How
better.
you doing?
Never better.
I know you're very happy, and you are now in F.A.C.E. That's your new name, Mr. Bitcoin. Because
Okay.
you're exclusive. I mean, you're loyal. You're exclusive. You don't fool around and date other altcoins or even Ethereum or Litecoin. You're true blue to Bitcoin. So
Yeah, and it's been working out for me. I think we're up close to 40% since the last time we talked, Dale.
Yeah, what a move. So congratulations on that. I want to start with this because I really don't understand it, but I know some people that have been, Bitcoin enthusiasts, really have believed in it through the ups and downs of Bitcoin. One being Mark Yusko. Do you know Mark? And I saw a video. I didn't watch the whole thing, but some of these people are saying that Larry Fink getting involved is not a good thing for Bitcoin. Not necessarily that it won't go higher, because he's a pretty good promoter. He can get, move markets. He's, they're the landlords of America. I mean, after the housing crisis, they bought up all the homes. Now he's going to probably try and corner Bitcoin. Why is Mark saying that? And do you agree with that development not being positive? And he's not the only guy. There's this other reporter that talks about it. She gets, I don't know, 100,000 views every time she opens her mouth. Why do you think he's saying that about Fink?
Yeah, so I guess personally, I rather as much individuals self-custody their own Bitcoin. But, the financialization of Bitcoin, in my opinion, was inevitable, that big institutions were going to come in. So yeah, I guess some people have concerns that all these ETFs consolidating all this Bitcoin will be a honeypot for like the US government down the road to potentially do like an executive order 6102 kind of thing, which was when FDR seized all the gold in the US, or required people to give up their gold. So I guess there are people that have that fear that aggregating all this Bitcoin, most of these ETFs use Coinbase as their custody provider. So all it's going to take, I guess, is one day the US government knocking on Coinbase's door and saying, you have to turn over the Bitcoin to us. So I guess that's a fear people have. But even one, I don't know how likely that is, especially in the short to medium term.
Yeah.
Um,
We'd have
but
to be in the middle of a big crisis, or
yeah, and you have,
probably, how about
yeah,
right before they make the move to CBDCs?
maybe. I guess you have to think about like, why did they want gold last time when FDR issued that order? Well, the dollar was backed by gold. So they don't need gold or Bitcoin anymore because the dollar is backed by nothing. So the
Right.
justification for issuing an order like that wouldn't really make any sense. Like they could just keep printing more money. So yeah, maybe it could happen one day, but that's why, regardless, I would always tell people learn about Bitcoin, get comfortable with it, and self-custody it yourself. So you don't have
Okay.
to worry about those type of attacks.
And someone, I forgot who was, told me that even though we had the recall of the gold by FDR, not everyone turned in their gold.
I don't think I think most people kind of ignored it. And then I think only one person was like criminally prosecuted for
Oh,
not turning in their gold. Like one person in the entire US.
okay.
But how would they even enforce that amongst individuals, right? That's why I say like Coinbase, it's an easy target,
Right.
But how are
Okay.
you going to go after individuals on a wide scale when you could literally hold your Bitcoin private keys in your head?
Right.
You
So
know?
conspiracy theorists, the way for you to finally relax about things is self-custody of everything.
Yeah, since that's kind of the point of Bitcoin
Yeah.
is to be censorship resistance, a permissionless network where you don't need permission. Um, clearly it doesn't stop someone from like coming at you with a gun and being like, give me your private keys, and then you're gonna have to make a decision. But that's with anything in life, right? So
Yeah.
Bitcoin is the most unconfiscatable thing we've ever had.
Okay. That's a great, you brought up a gun to your head. That's a great bullet point.
Pun intended.
So what's up at Swan?
So yeah, I started at Swan beginning of October. As you can see my hat.
Yeah.
I'm head of brand engagement for Swan. I do mostly marketing, strategy type stuff, help run Twitter, social media, things like that. And yeah, it's a great place. You can buy Bitcoin. You could set up an IRA at Swan, where you could hold actual Bitcoin. And a benefit to that is, you don't have to deal with the ETF fees. Now there are like IRA fees, but the ETFs have management fees
Right.
that eat into your position. But yeah, Swan's moving in a great direction. We also have Swan mining, which is a new thing where we're mining Bitcoin.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. Uh, the company's getting larger and larger. We now have I don't know how many people, like over 150, I think. So yeah, it's
Okay.
becoming a juggernaut in the space. And I love that we're Bitcoin only. Everyone that works there is focused on a mission to seeing, Bitcoin being adopted globally. And, we're not in it for the short term pump and dump schemes that you see in the crypto space.
Okay. Um, why don't you tell people how Swan will handhold you through the process?
Yeah, so we have great customer support. You know, you'll actually talk to a live person if you want to. Email, chat, whatever, on the phone, where, you know, people have horror stories with these bigger exchanges like Coinbase, where it could take months if you're lucky to get in contact with someone. And, you know, Swan, even though we're becoming a bigger company, we make sure to get back to everyone as soon as possible. We're constantly monitoring email, social media. If anyone has any questions, you know, we're there to answer them.
So do you have analysts that do technical work, and for people that want to trade, even though you don't encourage it, give analysis, price analysis of Bitcoin, support resistance areas, in case anyone ever wanted to, they're not a hodler, but you know, they want to take profits on part of it and think they could buy them cheaper again. Do you provide that type of service at Swan?
So we have analysts at Swan, but they talk more qualitative stuff, macro outlook, things like that. We have some internal things where people are running the numbers, but it's not. We're not doing like TA
Yeah. Okay.
stuff. It's just it's
Okay.
not really part of our mission here, right? Our mission is that people should hold a better form of money, which is Bitcoin, and to just buy it and hold it and not get caught up with the day-to-day or month-to-month movements.
Okay. So we have halving coming up. You want to
Yeah,
explain to
yes.
our,
You could
yeah,
see on my
thanks for reminding me. And so we have that coming up, buddy. Uh, you know, sounds like when you cut supply by 50%, it should, you know, make the supply more valuable. So is
yeah.
the market already pricing the halving in with this run that we've had here?
So just for clarification, it's not for people who aren't that familiar with what the halving is. So the actual supply of Bitcoin is will only ever be 21 million. And it's not actually cut in half the supply. The incoming
Oh,
issuance is cut in half.
okay.
So,
So
you know,
it's
right
not,
now,
all
yeah,
right.
sorry.
That's a, see, I didn't know. I thought they were
Yeah.
cutting the supply of all the stock of Bitcoins out there.
No. The supply is fixed in terms of its upper limit. It will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. But when the Bitcoin miners, the ones who like aggregate transactions into blocks, are rewarded with Bitcoin when they find the next block. So right now they get 6.25 Bitcoin when they mine a block. When the halving comes, they will only get 3.125 Bitcoin. So that's what's halves is the income, the supply issuance coming onto the market. Now, eventually that supply issuance gets, you know, as you cut it in half more and more and more, eventually gets to zero, and that's where you get the 21 million number. Mathematically, it's asymptotically to 21 million. It's like, you know, 20,999,000, you know, but 21 million for all intents and purposes.
So as
So
a
yeah,
Bitcoin miner, would that de-incentivize you at all?
So yeah, so this is where like the games kind of begin. Is for these Bitcoin miners who are spending tons of money on, you know,
Utilities.
energy costs. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, their revenue coming in is cut in half immediately. You'll see a lot of miners shut down their operations, like smaller ones. You know, people. Now, this isn't
Good news for the power grid.
well, no.
I'm
The
kidding. I'm kidding.
Bitcoin, well, we can talk about that separately,
All right.
but a lot miners are prepared for this, right? This isn't an unknown. It's known approximately the exact date it's going to happen, or within a few days at this point. It's going to be sometime around April 20th, give or take a few days. It happens every 210,000 blocks, which on average is every 10 minutes. So we know it's going to be around April 20th, like I said, give or take a few days. And at that point, you know, certain miners won't be able to continue profitably. Others will take advantage of the fact that other miners can't survive, right? So then there's, you know, there's all these different operational dynamics that go on with mining that people outside of the industry don't really think about.
So it sounds to me like the people that have scale, just like every other industry, are going to be the survivors and gobble up market share from the guy in his garage.
And it's not just scale or people who have access to very cheap energy and electricity.
Okay.
I mean, if you're getting electricity, if your cost of electricity is next to nothing, you know, you're still going to be profitable. You know what I'm saying? Like each Bitcoin is what, $50,000 plus right now. So even when it halves from 6.25 to 3.125, you're still going to make what, 160,000 in revenue if you mine a block. So, you know, as long as your you know, your electricity costs are low, you may be able to survive. Yeah, I'm not by no means.
They're raising rates here again in California. Utilities.
Electricity. Yeah, and I bet a lot of Bitcoin miners aren't going to go to California.
Yeah.
So
I mean, ideally, a Bitcoin miner would be off the grid with his own self-sufficient place to work and live, right?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of Bitcoin miners look for cheap energy, stranded energy. Certain power grids have energy that isn't used. And Bitcoin miners find those utility companies like, hey, we'll make a deal with you. You know, you have all this wasted energy that doesn't go to waste. We will come in and mine Bitcoin. So you have agreements between power grids and Bitcoin miners. Famously, this is in Texas with ERCOT, which I think is their utility, you know, company infrastructure there. So they actually have agreements with Bitcoin miners. So when there's a need for electricity by residents of Texas, Bitcoin miners have agreed to shut off their mining in exchange for some compensation. That way the grid stabilizes. But when there's extra energy available, electricity available, Bitcoin miners take advantage of that. So there's a lot of different dynamics at play.
It's a Wild West.
Yeah, but it's a controlled Wild West. I don't want people to think it's like chaotic.
Yeah.
These are like high level business decisions that are made. This isn't like
it's, you know, like when people move from one country to another, or people left the Midwest and go west, young man. It's almost like a journey for freedom.
That's how I see it. I mean, Bitcoin preserves your purchasing power, preserves your wealth, you know, as they keep printing more and more money. You know, you want to be in fixed assets, and Bitcoin is the most liquid and most finite and scarce asset that we have out there. So makes sense to me to just keep accumulating more and more.
Could we get a pullback to 30,000 if the NVIDIA ever heads south and there's a little bit of a liquidity event in equities? Or will it decouple and just do its own thing?
You know, this isn't my bread and butter, Dale. You try to
I
get
just
me.
wanted to see, I just wanted to see a smile.
No, yeah, NVIDIA plays a big part in Bitcoin mining because they produce the chips, right? So Bitcoin miners have been a big customer of these chips that are used in the mining equipment for years.
Is it difficult getting a hold of these, or it was and no longer is?
Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But yeah, Bitcoin miners are competing for supplies the same way gaming companies want these chips. So there's a race for supplies.
Do you see a merger between Bitcoin and NVIDIA anytime in the future?
Well, as you know, Dale, Bitcoin isn't a company. If NVIDIA is watching our video or our live stream right now, I would tell them that they should probably start to acquire some Bitcoin for their treasury, similar to like MicroStrategy, who's been
Michael
super
Saylor?
successful.
Yeah,
I think their Bitcoin's now worth $10 billion, and they're
yeah.
up in terms of the US dollar by 70%. So,
Wow. Yeah,
it's crazy.
yeah. Really a great example. And that would be part of the adoption process, wouldn't it? For companies in their treasury to hold Bitcoin. Are there many, or is Michael Saylor kind of unique?
Well,
It's
Tesla holds a little bit. I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
sure what the
that's right.
number is.
Yeah,
Obviously, there's a lot of private companies that don't disclose because they don't have to disclose that they're
right.
holding Bitcoin. But if you're sitting on cash, Michael Saylor described this years ago. If you have cash, what do you do with it? It's a melting ice cube. Fiat's a melting ice cube
I
in
like
terms
it.
of its purchasing power. So yeah, you can acquire another company, but that's super risky. So many acquisitions end up not being a good idea. You can invest in your own operations, but maybe you don't need to. You don't want to force spend. And Bitcoin provides this vehicle to kind of park the wealth that your company has made and preserve its purchasing power over time.
Okay, why don't we wrap it with a lot of people are talking now that Larry Fink's in the game that we may get back to, or maybe never stopped, having Bitcoin have a yield and have products where you could get a yield like a bond or, like what FTX said they were doing that, but weren't doing.
Well, remember, so I would be careful, even if it's BlackRock, Bitcoin doesn't, there's only ever going to be 21 million. This whole paying a yield, like where does the yield come from, right? I would always ask, if you don't know where the yield comes from, the yield is you. So you just need to be
Okay,
careful. And you're giving up your custody of your Bitcoin if you want this,
right.
a
Yeah.
yield. And
Okay,
we've seen what happens. Obviously, places like BlackRock, Fidelity are a lot better places than FTX and the BlockFis of the world. These are behemoths, right, in our financial industry. But as a Bitcoiner, even if the risk is 1%, I know how valuable Bitcoin's going to be over the long term. I don't want to take that chance by getting some measly yield on my Bitcoin.
okay, that's another pearl, because the higher the yield, the higher the risk, Neil.
There you go.
That's what I was taught. And
Yeah, and that's what's crazy about it, that like when you saw these companies collapse, the BlockFis, they were only paying like 3-4% yield on the Bitcoin. And it's like, are you
right,
serious? That's all you want? Like
yeah.
that
Well,
means if
that's
you
when rates were zero,
yeah, but
just before.
still,
Yeah,
but if you know what Bitcoin is, in order, you're basically saying like, I trust BlockFi to survive for 30 plus years to regain my principal, right, at 3%. Obviously, there's compounding and stuff, but
right.
if you're not compounding, and would I trust my Bitcoin to someone like that for that kind of measly return? Absolutely not.
Okay, well, everyone listening to us and that sees the video later, I've personally reached out to Neil when I was looking into it, and he sent me over to Swan, and I get their stuff, and he's very helpful because it's his mission, and it's something that is to the marrow of his bone, and wants people to find a way to protect themselves in a way that they haven't been able to for generations. And I'd reach out to Neil on X at Neil Jacobs, and Neil will get back to you. So
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Even if you're not famous like Dale, if you message me on Twitter or X, whatever you call it these days, I try to respond to everyone. I get a lot of spam incoming on a daily basis. So if I miss it, I'm sorry, but I do try to look through all of them. And if you come to me with a question, I'll try to answer it. Don't just say hello, just fire away your question right away. I don't have time for chit chat these days. But
Okay.
yeah, so, but
Okay.
yeah, Swan, it's a great brokerage. I wouldn't work for them if I didn't think they were a great company. You could go to swan.com/Neil /Neil. I think you get like $10 free if you use my link. You don't have to use my link. If you want to, you can. I'm just really passionate about Bitcoin. I want to see you learn about it and then make the decision for yourself that it's the right thing to put to allocate to. But also one other thing I got to plug while I'm here, been plugging
Your
Swan.
t-shirts?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the halving is coming. So you know my company FOMO 21.
Yeah.
I also sell Bitcoin merchant apparel, so check that out if you
Okay.
haven't yet.
Yeah, that's people look at t-shirts and read them wherever you go.
Yeah, and
It's like
I see it as it's part of spreading adoption in my like teeny tiny way, you know, and I wear this shirt outside and people are like, what's the halving?
yeah.
And then the conversation starts. So
Oh, you'll do anything to meet a girl.
I don't know if it's the
You
best way to get
meet a
women.
girl? Okay, but
Well,
anyway.
as Bitcoin's number, there's this funny meme in the Bitcoin community when the price of Bitcoin kind of like skyrockets or,
Oh yeah.
goes off. People are like, we're all getting girlfriends,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if a number go up, you might be accurate on that.
So I think you're one of the best Bitcoin ambassadors out there, Neil, and appreciate you coming in every 3 or 4 months and help edify our community in, an area where a lot of people feel intimidated by it because they can't understand it. So really appreciate you being here. You are an excellent ambassador for Bitcoin, Mr. Bitcoin.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Neil Jacobs, everybody. Follow him at Neil Jacobs. And any questions you have about this asset class, there's your go-to guy, Neil Jacobs.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Dale. Great to be
Talk
on.
in.
We'll have to do this next quarter.
Yeah, that's right. We're, about see you in the spring.
And if we're up another 40% going to next quarter, what will that put us at? My quick math says a new all-time high.
70.
Yeah, new all-time high. So hopefully
Yeah.
that's in the cards.
And if you ever need a bodyguard once it's over 100,000 to keep the women away, let me know. All right. So that's a wrap, everyone. Thanks, Neil.
Bye, guys.
Remember, don't just count your Bitcoins or any individual asset. Count your blessings too. And that's a wrap. And you could join the team in 15 minutes on the Morning Edge. I'll see you in May, Neil.
Sounds good. Bye, Dale.
All right. Adios, everyone.